Insanity is defined as repeating the same behavior over and over again and expecting a different result. Well, if that's the true definition of insanity, then the following 10 NFL teams are absolutely nuts. Each one of them has enjoyed a winning drought of many years for repeating the same mistakes. And we use enjoyed because, well, these teams must like losing, as they just do it so often and so spectacularly. So without further ado, here are 10 NFL teams that keep failing for the same mistake. Cleveland Browns. Let's start off our list with the biggest sadomasochist team in the NFL, the Cleveland Browns. It's clear from their decades-long run of losing that they derive some sort of pleasure from the suffering associated with not winning. However, it's also obvious that the Browns derive pleasure from inflicting pain on others, those others being their fans, as they constantly repeat the same mistakes. After the 1995 season, Browns owner Art Modell moved the team to Baltimore, but 4 years later, a new Browns team was born. Taking the field for the first time in 1999, the new Browns finished the season at 2-14. Since then, the losing just hasn't stopped, as they've only had 4 winning seasons in the last 27 years. Why are the Browns so bad? Well, first off, they have consistently failed to develop or find a true franchise quarterback. Since 1999, they've had 42 different starting QBs. This failure has led the front office to acquire overpriced and overpaid replacement options, guys like Deshaun Watson. Second, the team is caught in a vicious cycle of losing generated by unstable leadership, and of course, constant rebuilding. The team loses, a new front office and/or coaches are brought in, a new system is applied, and a rebuild begins. The losing continues, the GM becomes panicked that he will lose his job, and begins to make desperate moves. The team continues to lose, and thus the process repeats. With the exception of those lone 4 years, even the blind squirrel finds the occasional nut. The Browns have been repeating the same exact mistakes since the 20th century, and it doesn't look like they're going to be stopping anytime soon. New York Jets. Look, if the Browns were an easy choice to start our list, then the Jets were the easy second option. I know a lot of Jets fans, and you know, they are some of the most pessimistic sports fans that you will ever meet. No matter the roster makeup of the team or how well they might be playing, they are just sitting there, gripping their seats, waiting for things to go wrong. The Jets find new ways to lose, and in some cases, embarrass themselves in the process. Remember the fake spike, the butt fumble, Achilles tears to Vinny Testaverde and Aaron Rodgers, ruining potentially promising seasons? However, those things happened on the field. I'd like to say that off the field is a different story, but unfortunately, it's the Jets we're talking about. In areas that they can control, they repeat their mistakes over and over. The Jets have repeatedly made poor draft selections at quarterback, i.e. Mark Sanchez, Zach Wilson, Browning Nagel, which have led them to chase QBs who are way past their prime. Guys like Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. And it's never worked out. Maybe the Jets could make better personnel decisions if they had a more stable front office and coaching situation. Gang Green has typically not made the best coaching hires, as head coaches such as Rex Ryan, Adam Gase, Al Groh, and Rich Kotite have made headlines for all the wrong reasons. I mean, heck, how about Bill Belichick resigning after just one day? The Jets just can't seem to do anything right, and that doesn't seem to be changing anytime soon. Washington Commanders. Washington has appeared in 5 Super Bowls, winning 3 of them. But that was then, and this is now. Since their last Super Bowl appearance, a 1992 win over the Buffalo Bills in Super Bowl 26, Washington has only appeared in the playoffs 8 times. With the exceptions of a few outlier seasons, it seems like Washington either hovered around 500 or had a noticeable losing season, 6 wins or under. Closer look reveals that Washington keeps repeating their mistakes. They simply are and have been a team that seems to not be able to get out of their own way. Fortunately for this beaten down franchise, the biggest obstacle to their success has been removed. You see, from 1999 until 2023, the team was owned by one Dan Snyder, who repeated his mistakes for 24 whole years and then some. Whether it was micromanaging football operations, firing coaches and general managers, harassing women in the workplace, or creating a hostile work environment, Dan Snyder was involved in it all. And the interference from the ownership filtered down to the roster decisions, as Snyder would often get involved in personnel matters. Under his leadership, at various times, the team acquired several high-end talent that didn't quite work out. One immediately thinks of Albert Hainsworth, but there were others. An aged Bruce Smith, Jeff George, both these guys were signed to massive deals that had severe salary cap implications. But hey, now that Snyder's gone, maybe the Commanders can stop this cycle of poor decisions. Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins just celebrated their 60th year as a football franchise. But honestly, other than the career of Dan Marino, since 1973, they really haven't had a whole lot to celebrate. The Dolphins won back-to-back Super Bowls in 1972 and 1973, including the only perfect season. But since then, it's kind of been nothing. While the team didn't win a title during the Marino era, they made a Super Bowl and were very, very relevant. With Marino as quarterback, the Fins only had one losing season. Post-Marino, well, the Dolphins have become irrelevant, and it's all for the same reason. First and foremost, the Dolphins have failed to develop a true franchise quarterback, failing on draft picks such as Ryan Tannehill and Tua Tagovailoa, or signing underperforming veterans like Joey Harrington or Jay Cutler. In addition to failing to develop a QB, until the recent development of Devon Achane, they haven't had a franchise running back since Larry Zonka. Roster development is also a huge issue in Miami, as they have a history of failing in the draft, which has really hindered roster construction. For some reason, the front office continues to assemble a team that often gets pushed around by the opposition and falls apart in their own locker room. Lastly, the Dolphins have failed to hire the right head coach. Sparano, Gase, Flores, Saban, resulting in turnover every few years. Miami starts the 2026 season with a new regime in the front office and on the sidelines. But you know, until we actually see results, we kind of just expect more of the same in South Beach. Las Vegas Raiders. Historically, the Raiders have been one of the great franchises in the history of the NFL, having appeared in the Super Bowl 5 times and winning 3 of them. From 1967 through 1985, a total of 18 seasons, the Raiders made the playoffs 15 times and went 3-1 in their Super Bowls. From 1986 through 2025, a total of 40 years, they've made the playoffs 8 times and finished with a losing record 23 times. So what the heck happened to this once proud franchise? Well, one of the issues that had plagued this franchise was the constant interference from GM, owner, and managing general partner Al Davis. For over 50 years, Davis would make his presence felt from the owner's box to the offices, to the locker room, and on to the field, often to the detriment of the team. The chaotic ownership led to constant turnover at head coach. Since 1986, the Raiders have employed 17 different men as head coach, with John Gruden and Art Shell having multiple stints on the sideline. The nomadic existence of this team, starting in Oakland, moving to Los Angeles, back to Oakland, and now in Las Vegas, has made it difficult to plant roots in the community, and, well, it's really hurt its development. Finally, like many other franchises, the Raiders have continually made poor roster decisions, especially in the draft, which has led the team to overspend on veterans. The Raiders have always gambled on players, so it kind of makes sense that they're now in Vegas, where they're going to be rolling big and coming up just short. Arizona Cardinals. Any worst of list has to include the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, I think it's actually the law in like 43 states and 67 countries, at least according to a stat that I just made up. But seriously though, the Cardinals have a long history of losing. In fact, I actually kind of forgot that they made the Super Bowl and lost in 2008 until, we started writing this article. Sure, they've made the playoffs in other seasons, 9 times since the NFL began in 1970. Actually, I need to see that again. They have made the playoffs 9 times in the last 56 years. Oh, by the way, this proud franchise also went 25 years from 1949 to 1973 without ever making the playoffs. Clearly, this team has been doing something wrong for a long time. Let's start with the drought at quarterback in the desert, as they have been unable to develop a franchise quarterback through the draft. Several high draft picks have just not panned out, leading to the signing of veterans who have failed as a stopgap. It's hard to be a placeholder when there's no one coming to take your place. This is also a franchise that just refuses to spend. The Bidwell family, who owns the franchise, is generally cited as being one of the worst owners in the NFL. Operating the team on a tight budget and failing to properly invest in facilities certainly acts as a deterrent in attracting the best talent. Ay. When will this team ever learn? Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys, dubbed America's team in the 1970s due to their massive popularity and incredible run of success, making 5 Super Bowls and winning 2 of them during that decade. They embarked on another dynasty in the 1990s when they won 3 Super Bowls during a 4-year span from 1992 through 1995. However, since their last championship, it seems as if the Cowboys have been feast or famine. They have won the NFC East 9 times, but have typically hovered around 500 and out of the playoff most seasons. Something has and continues to go wrong in Dallas. The biggest issue facing the Cowboys is the constant meddling by owner Jerry Jones. He has traditionally undermined on-field decisions by calling out his coaches publicly and complaining about players to the media. The Cowboys moniker of America's team also continues to hurt the franchise. Jones's obsession with the branding of the team has led him to make poor roster decisions that, well, have just hurt the franchise for years, including, but not limited to, poor financial decisions that hindered assembling a true team, and not one with stars and lots of holes. Until Jerry Jones steps back from his dual and overbearing role, the Cowboys will continue to make the same mistakes. New York Giants. The New York Giants are a little bit different than the other teams on our list, as their recent run of futility has not been as long as the other teams on our list, whereas the others here have been making the same mistakes for, well, decades. You see, the Giants have only really been, failing for 14 years. Since winning their last Super Bowl in the 2011 season, the Giants only have 2 playoff appearances and only 3 winning seasons. It's been a rough stretch in New York, and it's all due to their repeated errors. The Giants just have continually failed in building a truly solid roster. Starting with the quarterback position, the organization's failure to properly plan for the post-Eli Manning era led to the drafting of Daniel Jones, who never quite looked comfortable in New York. After 4 seasons, it was apparent that he was not the answer, and the team needed to just move on. If a true rebuild was needed, it could take years. So star running back Saquon Barkley decided to depart. It's not just the quarterback position where the front office has failed either. They have continually been unable to develop a powerful offensive line capable of preventing turnovers and sacks, which has not allowed the rest of the offense to properly grow. This failure to develop talent has led to overpaying underproductive veterans. They say that everything is bigger in New York. Well, I guess that includes mistakes. Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons have been repeating the same blunder for several years now. They've been a team in need of a rebuild for about 8 or so years. The only problem is that they don't seem to really know it. Or if they do, they have repeatedly failed at trying to fix it. Veteran quarterback Matt Ryan led Atlanta to Super Bowl 51, where they lost to New England and to the playoffs the following season in 2017. But after that, the team just began to decline. The Falcons would post losing records over the next 4 seasons, and as the losing mounted, they relied more and more on their quarterback, without preparing for the future. Since their franchise quarterback has retired, the team has turned to multiple stopgaps, including the then 36-year-old Kirk Cousins for parts of 2 years. The hole at quarterback has led Atlanta to put their future in the hands of Michael Penix, who so far has not looked like the answer. They've also failed in other areas of the draft as they have continually ignored certain needs, creating an imbalance in their roster. Poor roster development and lack of planning is a mix for failure. I mean, heck, just ask the Falcons. Buffalo Bills. The Bills are one of the best teams in the NFL today. They made the playoffs in 8 of the last 9 years. This run of success came after a dark period for the franchise that lasted about a dozen years. Prior to that dark period, the Bills had another successful run throughout the 1990s. The franchise also boasts 12 individuals, including Jim Kelly, Bruce Smith, Thurman Thomas in the Hall of Fame, and Josh Allen will probably be joining them. With all that success, what the heck is the one mistake that results in the Bills failing repeatedly? Well, losing. Yeah, losing is the mistake that the Bills make almost yearly. Now, I'm not talking about the Bills being like, well, the Browns, and having this crazy bad losing record every single year. I mean, clearly a team that has the success of the Buffalo organization wins. However, It seems that Buffalo's winning primarily occurs in the regular season, because it's in the postseason where the losing occurs. The Bills made 4 straight Super Bowls from 1990 through 1993. They lost all 4 of them, including one in dramatic fashion when kicker Scott Norwood missed a last-second field goal. More recently, the Bills have ruled the AFC East, but have failed to get past the Chiefs in the playoffs. Then, in 2025, with the Chiefs quarterback on the shelf with an injury, the Bills lost an overtime heartbreaker to the Broncos. It seems like no matter how much time passes, Bills Mafia just keeps experiencing the same old heartbreak. But hey, what NFL team do you think keeps making the same mistake? Let us know in the comment section below. If you liked this video and learned a thing or two, then clicking the like button helps us out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea, because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.